Yeah, good morning, and hey now, PASW staff, clients, and friends. Welcome to Thursday's class. We had a lot of fun looking at Debussy, the very famous French composer who changed the world with just that one note, right? That tritone. Today, I decided it would be fitting to do part 5, just to kind of go through the timeline of my life and my work. Also because it's my birthday today, so figured why not do it on a Thursday. So we'll do a little recap. We'll do and then we'll continue the high school, and slowly but surely. This is good for me too. This is a good psychoanalysis session for me to be grateful and think of people that have helped me and then also just to vent and complain. All these things are therapeutic, I think. So, and it's good for you to see my struggles and because we're all learning, we're all on different levels of growth and everything. So, okay, part 5. So told you about, elementary school, Stanford, junior high, rock guitar, wanting to get into jazz, finally going to the very prestigious, great Hamilton High School, and meeting my teacher, Dan Taguchi, who's still a dear friend today. And like I said, he not only taught me a lot about jazz and music, but how to be a professional musician, how to show up on time, how to call if you're going to be sick, and call for a substitute to replace you in a gig. He was very serious, and I think he took it very seriously. He's a very fun, hilarious, humorous person, but he took the job very seriously, and that's why we were so successful as a jazz band. We would beat out colleges. Actually, our jazz band would compete all over, all over the state, and we were very reputable. So he taught it very seriously, but he also taught me how to be a professional musician. And I think he said this, not only if you didn't, become a musician, how to just be a professional adult, how to be responsible. So I loved those two things about him. He did teach me a lot about music theory, and that was something that I didn't know that much about. I knew how to write music, how to notate, and all that stuff. But when I took music theory from him, he taught me a lot about that, and really encouraged my soloing and featured me a lot. I had to take the bus because we lived about 20 miles or something from the school. So I hated taking the bus. There was, for many reasons. It was cold. It was early. There were annoying people. There was a girl that always sat next to me, and I felt sorry for her. And I'd always pretend like there wasn't enough room in my seat, but she would just squish her rather large body next to mine. And but everything happens for a reason. Just like my mom. Just like our commute to elementary school, this is when I really started to listen to music, because I had listened to it in a long way, because I had about an hour bus ride. So I would steal CDs. I would take The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is a class we looked at, and that was a very special soundtrack. I would also take Lionel Hampton's Stardust, which is a piece that we haven't talked about. And then I would also listen to Stravinsky's Firebird. And this was me getting into classical music more, on my way to having, piano lessons, private lessons, where I would just teach myself, at that point of the day at school with headphones on, So I remember the Firebird being a very, very important piece of music. I remember Philip Glass's album Glass Works being very important, and I remember the Umbilical Cherbourg. Those three pieces I would listen to constantly on the way to and fro from school on my CD player all the time. And so I got and those really shaped kind of my writing even today, which is kind of jazz like, kind of classical like, kind of film like, kind of minimalism like. All those those are probably three very important albums that have changed my life forever still, and that I still listen to. So the bus was a very good thing for me. I really wanted to, it was a fantasy of mine, because I heard that this kid, Robert Elfman, wrote a piece for orchestra. So when I was in 8th grade, my sister was in the orchestra and at Hamilton, and I heard that this piece, that she said this kid in our class wrote this piece for orchestra. And in 8th grade, I was like, okay, that's I have to do that. I'm gonna make it my goal. So I started writing music, notation, scores, more kind of in 11th grade. And then I told you about Sibelius and getting that software, which allows you to notate music and allows you to print parts for people. And it's a program that I still use today. Mostly all professional composers and copyists use that. So when I got that, I was able to come up with a piece of music. I remember senior year taking a trip to go see my dear friend, but also family member, my mom's cousin Calvin. Calvin passed away a few years ago. He's somebody that was a part of our family, a part of our culture, a part of the Tovar, household. He was is my mom's cousin and had one of the most beautiful houses in Laguna Beach. And I had it. I just had too much stress in senior year, and I needed to get away. And he lived in Laguna at this beautiful little place that just is gorgeous. And I went to stay with him because he would always offer his house, because it was this big, great, beautiful house. And that's where I started writing my piece for orchestra, Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, based on the E. E. Cummings poem, because I was into his poetry, thanks to Sasha, my sister. I started writing that piece while I was at Calvin's place, and I thought this would be the piece that I'm going to make Mr. Miller play. And this was a turning point in my life, and I'll always remember that great weekend down at Laguna, walking, being by the seaside, thinking about my piece and how it's okay now, but back then it was wonderful to me. I wrote the piece very quickly. I did all the parts. I made it super easy for Mr. Miller to say, yes, we can play this. My dad talked to him. I kind of had to push because I was graduating and, it needed to be done. He never really got back to me. I remember being in his class with some friends. He wasn't in the room, and thinking, okay, where is that score? He has it. He's not doing anything with it. Where is it? I was getting, I was a little getting restless. I found it somewhere piled under all this stuff. So I said, I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna put it on his conductor stand. So that's the first thing he's gonna see tomorrow morning. This is kind of a 12-hour passive aggressive thing that we do pretty well. I guess it worked because when he saw it the next day, a few days later, he's like, we're going to play your piece. So having an orchestra rehearse your piece for the first time when you're 17, when you're 18 is an amazing experience. I was scared to death, of course, but I mean, just like any other day. And then senior year, I also met my friend's father is a composer. And she was my prom date, actually. And so I'd go over there sometimes and hang out. And he was very supportive of my music. And I'm talking about Michael Andreas, who I still talk to. He was the first to introduce me to a program called Giga Studio. Giga Studio is a program that doesn't exist anymore, but it was one of the first to give you realistic sounds. And I mean, so this was different than MIDI. We talked about electronic sounds, general MIDI. Giga Studio was kind of one of the first to give you samples of real instruments, okay? So it's not electronic flute, it's actually a flutist playing samples in a recording studio, and the composer having samples that and using it in his own music. So really you're hearing a live orchestra or a live performers play your music in your computer program. At that time I was using Cakewalk Pro Audio 9, I remember. And Michael Andreas introduced me to this program and gave me some sounds and let me borrow some of his sound libraries. I'm very grateful. Still think about that and how wonderful that time was. It was the day before 4th of July. And I remember thinking, I'll get this right back to you. And he said, tomorrow's a holiday. You can do it the day after. And he hooked me up with a lot of sounds. And I still always treasure that moment. He was very, very sweet and kind and helpful in my music education. As a composer, as a working composer, because I was about to graduate. So, I only wanted to go to USC. I think I applied to UCLA, but I for some reason I always knew that I would go there or want to go there. I didn't get in. Like I said, I'm an average student. I'm okay. B-, B student. I'm not, I try, but I get distracted and I have anxiety. So sometimes it's hard for me to listen. But there was a mentorship program that Hamilton had with Fox Music, Fox Studios, but part of our music program, because we were a magnet, there was a mentorship program. And my friend Justin, I don't know where he's at now. I'd like to look him up. He said, well, my mentor last year was Robert Kraft. He's the head of music at Fox, the head of the music department at Fox Music. I'll recommend you. So I got paired up, luckily, through to Robert Kraft, who was the sweetest guy. He was very kind to me. This is senior year, right? This is like second semester of senior year. He was such a sweet guy. I could go over to Fox anytime and hang out in his studio or in his office. He would take me to scoring sessions. I mean, I was very lucky to be in this, and he introduced me to a lot of other film composers, Mark Shaman, and they were doing huge movies on the sound scoring stage at the Newman sound scoring stage, which is where they record all the biggest movies. He was just such a cool guy, and I didn't get into USC, and Robert Kraft said, I'm having a meeting with Philip Glass tomorrow if you want to come by, because he knew how much I loved Philip Glass. And Philip Glass lives in New York, so the fact that he was coming to West LA was weird. And I knew that I couldn't, but I said, of course I can. I skipped class. I skipped the pit rehearsal, I remember. And that was probably why Mr. Miller didn't like me, because I just said, oh, well, of course I can come and meet him. I met Philip Glass in Robert Kraft's office. He was very nice. And he mentioned, come intern with me, something like that. It was very casual. but I followed up, and his studio allowed internships, Looking Glass Studios in New York, and I took a picture. I said hi. He didn't really know anything about me. So I said, okay, I won't go to college right away. College will always be there. I'll go and work for my favorite composer in the world. And it helped my confidence, because I was very scared and embarrassed that I didn't get into any colleges. And, it's the biggest thing in the world. And looking back on it, it's not, who cares? Everyone's on their own track in life. But, it's really hard. These decisions are hard when you're in that moment. But now, no one's thinking of, wow, I can't believe Alexander didn't get into any college. And nobody cares. Everyone's thinking about themselves. So, just, side note. So that was great. Robert Kraft. So there were people that were that looking out for me, very sweet. And I still, I think about them, and it was very kind of them. And while this was going on, every night and all the weekends, I would still practice trumpet, but I was writing all the time. I was in my zone, in my corner, in the computer, with Giga Studio, with Sibelius, with Cakewalk, and I was writing freely. I was writing anything I wanted to write. It was the most creative time of my life. I hope to get back to that creative time at some point, because it was so great, because nobody gave you any structure. My dad didn't say, well, now you have to write a symphony. Now, nobody ever told me, now you got to write this. Nobody. And so I had complete luck and complete opportunity to do whatever. If I wanted to, smoke my pipe and look through a book of Fellini pictures, I would do that and get inspired and write a quirky little funny story in my head. And it was a beautiful time. Okay, I've said it all. We're going to stop there. I think we'll go to New York next time, if that's cool with you. And we'll talk about that. Talk about the internship. Talk about Philip Glass. Talk about... I'll probably stop this. Probably, around the movies. But I just want to share share with you my journey, my problems, my troubles, my luck, and it's good, So, it's helpful for me, and I hope it's helpful for you too. So thank you. Very sweet of you to listen to this, and to, and it's good for me to reflect and thank all those people. Okay. Love you. Miss you. Tomorrow's film scoring results Friday. So that'll be really fun. And, oh yeah. And I'll have a happy birthday today, I guess. Yeah. Maybe I'll take the rest of the day off. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think so. No, this was a great birthday present, letting me share some of my stuff. So thank you. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye.